The laughter before the silence. They said the humans begged. They were wrong. The humans offered peace, and we mistook it for weakness. Testimony of Xylan, 4, diplomatic advisor of the Zorith Dominion. The Hall of Convergence was meant to be a place of diplomacy, a grand dome of mirrored crystal orbiting neutral space above the crimson star of Vexus Prime. But that day, it became something else. Something darker. Envoy Xylan, 4 of the Zorith Dominion stood among hundreds of alien representatives, shimmering scales, glimmering feathers, translucent carapaces, gathered in a sea of pride and suspicion. At the center, standing alone on the lower dais, was a human. He looked painfully simple. No exosuit. No visible augmentations. Just a black formal uniform and a small silver insignia shaped like a broken olive branch. His name was Commander Elias Coron, the last envoy of the Terran Union. The plea for peace. The galaxy had been at war for 13 years. The Zorith Dominion, vast, ruthless, and ancient, had driven humanity to the edge of extinction. 2 billion dead. 4 colonies erased. Earth itself scarred and quarantined. Now humanity had come not to fight, but to talk. We ask for truce, Coron said, voice steady but heavy. Not surrender. Not submission. A truce, to rebuild. To bury our dead. To remember we are all alive. His words echoed through the chamber, soft but cutting. No one moved. No one answered. Until High Strategos Velzar, Zoritha's military overseer, began to laugh. It was a deep, gurgling sound, vibrating through his armor like grinding stone. The sound spread, contagious, rippling through the delegation tiers. Soon the entire chamber trembled with mockery. Hundreds of alien voices joined in, predators, warlords, nobles, laughing at the human who dared ask for mercy. Coron didn't flinch. He just stood there, hands clasped behind his back, eyes calm, waiting. When the laughter finally died, Velzar sneered. You come to our hall, little mammal, asking for peace? You crawl from your dying world and speak of mercy while your fleets burn? You think you still hold the right to negotiate? The human's gaze didn't shift. He simply nodded once. Yes. Velzar's claws clicked against the railing. And if we refuse? Coron looked up, and for the first time, Xylan saw something in his eyes that wasn't desperation. It was inevitability. Then we will remember. Silence fell. Velzar tilted his head, amused. Remember? And what will memory do for your ashes? Coron took a breath, calm, measured, final. It will outlast you. He turned, bowed slightly, and walked out. No guards stopped him. No one cared. The laughter began again, louder this time. The silence that followed. The Terran envoy ship departed the hall within the hour. Officially, the Dominion declared humanity extinct 6 months later. No signals. No fleets. No colonies detected. The ashes of Earth's orbit drifted cold and lifeless. The galaxy moved on. Trade resumed. Empires shifted. Wars elsewhere bloomed. The humans became a cautionary myth, a story told to young soldiers about the futility of defiance. But Xylan remembered the look in that human's eyes. He'd seen countless species beg, weep, curse, but never like that. Coron's eyes had held patience. As if he knew something the rest of them didn't. 3 years later, Zorith Prime. When the first anomaly appeared, no one paid attention. A mining satellite vanished near the edge of the system. Then, another. Then entire communication arrays went dark. The Dominion fleets searched. Found nothing. Then came the static. A strange signal, faint, repetitive, undetectable to standard sensors. It played for exactly 9 seconds every rotation. A distorted human voice whispering 3 words. We remember you. At first, they assumed it was a ghost signal, a trick of the void. But the voice grew clearer. Louder. Soon, every ship in the Dominion fleet received it. We remember you. Then, one night, the sky above Zorith Prime changed. The fire that fell. Xylan was in the diplomatic quarter when the alarms began. The horizon glowed, not with sunrise, but with re-entry fire. Dozens of streaks cut through the upper atmosphere, trailing plasma tails like comets. The city's defense towers activated instantly, energy shields rising, targeting arrays locking on, but the projectiles weren't ships. They were shells. Kinetic rods, tungsten spears the size of drop pods, falling from orbit at hypersonic velocity. They didn't explode. They simply hit. Each impact released more energy than a fusion bomb. Entire continents shook. Oceans boiled. Skies turned white. In less than an hour, Zorith Prime, jewel of the Dominion, was no longer a planet of cities. It was a field of molten glass and smoking craters. The orbital stations went silent. Fleets scrambled. No enemy signals detected. No ships found. Just one transmission, intercepted from high orbit. "This is the Terran Union." You laughed. "Now you will remember with us." The aftermath. Xylan survived in orbit aboard an observation craft, one of the few not targeted. He watched Zorith burn beneath him for 16 hours. He didn't speak. Didn't move. Didn't even blink. The Dominion High Council was gone. Velzar's palace, vaporized. Every major command hub, gone. When the fires cooled, the planet looked carved, vast craters forming patterns, deliberate and symmetrical. From orbit, the design became clear. A ring of impact sites encircling the capital continent, spelling 2 words in the native Dominion language. Never again. The galaxy screamed for vengeance. Fleets were mobilized, alliances formed, but the humans were nowhere to be found. Their systems remained dark. Their worlds silent. No ships. No colonies. Just echoes, data ghosts and whispers in the void. Every Dominion attempt to retaliate failed. Their weapons turned inert. Their own targeting systems glitched, flashing human phrases through alien code. Peace was an option. We asked. You laughed. We remember. Xylan's realization. Years later, Xylan sat in exile on a derelict moon, the sky filled with the faint glow of Zoritha's broken ring. He stared upward at the memorial, once a homeworld, now a tomb. He remembered the laughter in that hall. The arrogance. The certainty of dominion. He understood now what the human meant by remember. It wasn't a threat. It was a promise. They never fight for victory, he whispered. They fight for memory. The humans do not wage war to conquer. They wage it so they never have to again. Xylan, 4, final transmission to the Galactic Council. Ashes don't laugh. The silence after annihilation had its own kind of gravity. No calm chatter. No fleet reports. Just the static hum of space and the quiet, endless drift of ash. Admiral Varen of the Kether Dominion had once been called the voice of the conquered stars. Now, he was just one of the last voices left. His warship, KDV Sovereign, limped through the outer rim of what was once the Soul Expanse, the sector humanity had called home before they'd vanished into silence decades ago. They thought they had eradicated the species after the truce had been mocked, after the peace flag had been fired upon. They had celebrated it, drunk to it, laughed at the humans' desperate diplomacy. But humans didn't beg for peace out of weakness. They did it out of calculation. The reckoning. The first time the Kether realized something was wrong was when the Star Song Array, their vast communication web, went dark. One node after another, blacked out. Entire colonies silenced. And then came the whispers. Not signals, voices. Distorted human broadcasts echoing across subspace, overlapping like ghosts in static. They didn't demand surrender. They didn't call for war. They just repeated a phrase. We remember what you laughed at. Now you will too. Varen had dismissed it as psyops. A trick. The humans were gone, after all. Their world glassed, their fleets broken. Their monuments scattered. But then came the first planetfall. And the first memorial. The planet Taraxis Prime had been the Dominion's industrial heart. Billions of Kether worked its forge cities, its atmosphere thick with plasma vents and smoke. When the invasion alarms sounded, they expected drop pods, orbital strikes, something tangible. What came instead was silence. A blackout enveloped the planet. Satellites, ships, drones, all unresponsive. And then, from the upper atmosphere, someone saw it. A sphere descending. No emissions. No transponder. Just falling. When it impacted, every Kether communication screen lit up simultaneously, across cities, ships, and command centers. The screen showed an image. Not of a battle. Not of humans. But of Earth. Verdant, alive, and covered in a field of names. A graveyard planet turned into a monument. You laughed at our peace. You turned mercy into mockery. So now, your homeworld will remember. Moments later, the Kether biosphere began to unravel. Atmospheric processors reversed polarity, turning breathable air into toxic haze. Their own defense grids turned inward. Within hours, Taraxis Prime was silent. Admiral Varen's last transmission. The Sovereign drifted through debris fields thick enough to darken its own navigation lights. Bodies, some Kether, some not. Strange machines, half organic, half metallic, drifting like reef creatures. Admiral, his second officer rasped, his voice frayed from static. Signal at bearing 319. Low bandwidth, human frequency. The word hung heavy. Human. Impossible. Patch it through, Varen ordered. The screen blinked, distorting into a single image, a human in old soul armor, helmet removed. His face scarred, but calm. Admiral Varen of the Kether Dominion, the voice said evenly. I am Captain Elias Ward, Terran Restoration Command. The title made Varen's blood chill. Restoration. Not fleet, not colony. Command. You're supposed to be dead, Varen said quietly. Ward gave a small, almost sad smile. So were you. Yet here we are. One of us pretending to still command something. Varen's claws curled into the console. You would do this. Erase entire worlds. Ward didn't flinch. You erased mercy first. You made laughter a weapon. You made peace a joke. We simply rewrote your humor. Behind him, a window showed Earth, alive, rebuilt. But the continents had changed. Thousands of glowing lights traced across its surface, like circuits of memory. You see, Admiral, Ward continued, voice calm as the void. We didn't rebuild to rule. We rebuilt to remember. Every world that laughed at our plea for peace becomes one of us now. A memorial. A world of names. Not theirs. Yours. The transmission cut. The fire at the core. Admiral! His helmsman screamed. Massive heat spike. Planetary ignition. Varen spun toward the viewport just in time to see it. The Dominion homeworld, Kether Prime, glowed like a dying star. Its crust fractured into ribbons of molten light. Entire continents crumbled inward as the planet's mantle boiled. From orbit, human satellites deployed what looked like shimmering veils, reflective membranes that folded light itself around the burning planet. Within minutes, the world's surface was glass. And then, engraved. Colossal patterns began to etch into the cooling crust, letters the size of continents. Even from 1,000 kilometers away, the Sovereign's optics could read them. Here lies the Dominion that mocked peace. Remember them. The Ghost Fleet. Varen stumbled back, claws scraping the metal floor. Bring us around. We must warn the others. Admiral, whispered his second officer, eyes wide and glassy. There are no others. The sensor feed flickered, sector by sector, Dominion fleets blinked out. Destroyed, disconnected, converted. And then the radar caught motion, an armada, emerging from the dark edge of the system. Human ships. Thousands of them. Not sleek or polished like Dominion vessels, these were brutalist constructs of iron and plasma scars, their hulls painted in matte black with glowing names carved into the plating. Each ship was a memorial. Each one bore the names of fallen human cities: Seoul, New York, Warsaw, Luna Outpost 7. They weren't a fleet. They were a graveyard made mobile. The humans had turned remembrance into a weapon. The human transmission. The communications officer trembled as another signal came through. Audio only. A calm human voice reading a list of names. Each name corresponded to a Kether city. Each one, followed by a pause. Then, silence. And the voice whispered, "We asked for peace once. You laughed. Now the stars will speak for us." Endgame. The Sovereign's shields collapsed. Its engines flickered. Varen stared into the tactical display, thousands of red dots, all marked human. His crew waited for an order that would never come. He lowered his head. "Record my words," he said quietly. "To those who come after us, if any still exist." The recording light blinked red. "We thought peace was weakness. We thought mercy was surrender. We laughed at their outstretched hands. Now our laughter echoes in our graves." He looked up toward the void, where the ghost fleet drifted closer, silent, patient, resolute. "Tell them humanity does not conquer. It remembers. And memory is the sharpest blade." Epilogue. Centuries later, explorers from distant species would find the ruins of Kether Prime. They would stand on glass plains that shimmered like obsidian mirrors, reading the human inscriptions etched into the crust. No monuments, no banners. Just the words. "Here rests arrogance. Here stands remembrance." And at the center of it all, a single holographic beacon still flickered. A voice repeating through the ages, soft but unbroken. "We asked for a truce. You laughed. Now the galaxy remembers what laughter costs."